Hey, Raj Martin over Village, Montana. This is from SGT report, and very interesting about Putin and what he said in this very important speech that none of the major networks even talked about.
And maligned by the mainstream mockingbird media? The answer, of course, is Vladimir Putin. And the last thing the Clinton, Soros, New World Order mafia wants is closer ties between Russia and the United States. In fact, those that would rabble-rouse and beat the drums of war would like nothing more than conflict between the United States and Russia. What if I were to tell you that the same mockingbird mainstream media that has covered up the global child pedophilia rings, including the Pizzagate story, is also refusing to report about Vladimir Putin's knowledge of the elite's penchant for pedophilia? In his 2016 Christmas speech, Vladimir Putin dropped some bombshells on the New World Order that were completely ignored by the mainstream U.S. press. And in his Christmas speech, we see some startling similarities between Putin and Trump, both of whom seem to recognize the fact that the New World Order powers are aligned against sovereign states, aligned against Christianity, aligned against traditional morals, and aligned against the family. In his incredibly important speech, Putin says, "We see that many Euro-Atlantic states have taken the way where they deny or reject their own roots, including their Christian roots, which form the basis of Western civilization. In these countries, the moral basis and any traditional identity are being denied. National, religious, cultural, and even gender identities are being denied or relativized. There, politics treats a family with many children as equal to a homosexual partnership. Faith in God is equal to faith in Satan." And guys, here's the Pizzagate DC pedo ring bombshell that Putin dropped. And I quote, "The excesses and exaggeration of political correctness in these countries indeed leads to serious consideration for the legitimization of parties that promote the propaganda of pedophilia." Putin clearly knows about the elite's penchant for pedophilia, and Tom DeLay himself has warned the American people.
Well, we've already found a secret memo coming out of the Justice Department. They're now going to go after 12 new perversions, things like bestiality, polygamy, having sex with little boys and making that legal.
Putin continues, "The people in many European states are actually ashamed of their religious affiliations and are indeed frightened to speak about them." Guys, as a side note, for those who've never read the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, which is claimed to be nothing more than a hoax or a forgery, I'd encourage you to read those protocols and then consider the war that is being waged that Putin is describing in this speech, and then ask yourself, is something behind the scenes driving this agenda? And do Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin stand in some opposition to it? Putin says Christian holidays and celebrations are abolished or neutrally renamed, as if one were ashamed of those Christian holidays. With this method, one hides away the deeper moral value of these celebrations. And of course, he's referring to the birth of Jesus Christ and the rebirth of the human race through the blood of Jesus Christ. Putin says, and these countries try to force this model onto other countries globally. I am deeply convinced that this is a direct way to the degradation and primitivization of culture. This leads to deeper demographic and moral crisis in the West. What can be a better evidence for the moral crisis of a human society than the loss of its reproductive function? And today, nearly all developed Western countries cannot survive reproductively, not even with the help of migrants. Without the moral values that are rooted in Christianity and other world religions, without rules and moral values which have formed and been developed over millennia, people will inevitably lose their human dignity. We can see the degradation of family in our own society tearing us apart. Putin stands in opposition to that degradation. And yet the mainstream mockingbird media would label this man an enemy of humanity and an enemy of the United States.
All right, you can see the full report on here. There's more to this than meets the eye. Clearly, Putin and Trump both know that it's battle time to save their countries over the foolish and elite groups that are trying to cause war between the two.